Hey guys, what is up? It is No Help and welcome back to another video today. So today I have a very special video planned, and today's video is going to be about how I got into RuneScape for the very first time, my first experiences with logging into the game, and I overall think this is going to be a very exciting video to watch. I just want to start off by saying thank you guys for all of the support on the channel lately. The past few months I've gained more subscribers than I've ever gained, and I really appreciate it and thank you guys. And if you do like my videos, consider subscribing and leaving a comment letting me know you subscribed. Anyways, let's start the video off. So the year is 2009. I'm just a regular kid. I don't really know much about the internet at all. Don't even have a cell phone at this point. And I'm just going about my day. And the only games I really did play were Nexon games. I'm sure a lot of you know MapleStory. They had this other game, that Nexon had this other game, and my dad played it. It was called Combat Arms, and it was basically like Call of Duty, the first Call of Duty, and it was an online type of game. And I was pretty obsessed with that game, but I would only play it like once a week whenever I went to my dad's house. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, but I didn't really get obsessed with it, and I just kind of played it for fun. I also played like the regular Pokemon type games that we all played on the DS and any of the Nintendo ones really, and Mario and stuff like that. But I was never really obsessed with any online games or even online at all. I didn't even know about YouTube at the time. And yeah, I pretty much stayed away from the internet, went outside and did a lot of real life things. But then this one day, this friend told me about this game called RuneScape. Funny story is I actually was trying to get him to play this Combat Arms game with me, and he said, no, that game's dumb, play RuneScape. And I was like, what the hell is RuneScape? Now, I never had a computer, and we just had one computer at my house, and it was actually a Mac. So it didn't have like the best graphics and things like that. You gotta remember the first generation Macs were really bad. And anyways, I'm like, alright, okay, I'll try the game out. And whenever I got home that day, I was like, can I go on the computer? And that was like really odd because I never really asked to go on the computer back then. This wasn't like a gaming computer by any means. Like I said, it was a first generation Mac. And it was pretty much used for like online banking and checking news and stuff like that. It wasn't really used for anything crazy. And I remember being like, can I use it? Can I use it? And it was actually my stepdad's computer. And eventually, you know, they let me use it, and I went to sign up for this game called RuneScape. I went to the site, and I'm pretty sure back then it was in the client. It wasn't actually a downloadable game. It was actually in the web browser. So I go to launch the game, and I see that beautiful moving background with the Dungeoneering. I think Dungeoneering might have just been released, and I'm like, this actually looks pretty cool. But like I said, I didn't know much about computers. My family really didn't know too much about computers either. And I see this moving background, and it says the silver worlds were free, but the gold worlds were whatever it was back then, $5.65 a month or whatever. And my parents were like, okay, you can't do this because we might get charged. So I didn't really care. I was like, okay. And I went back to school the next day, and I told my friends that I didn't want to get charged for this game. And they said, why didn't you just make a free account? And I'm like, is that what that silver world was? And they, explained to me that yes, it was that silver world. Now, this one friend who told me to play the game, there was actually a couple of friends that we had in the group that did play the game, and their older brothers played the game. And I thought, you know what, this might be fun. I'm gonna, sign up for a free account when I get home. I vividly remember that night being excited to go sign up for the account, knowing nothing about the game at this time. But I had to wait for my stepdad to come home so that he could launch up the computer for me. And I said, yeah, I can sign up for a free account. That was that silver button and whatever. And he's like, okay. And I eventually signed up to the game. And it was actually like, I remember it was like an hour before dinner. And eventually I logged in, and I was on that tutorial island. And like I said, I didn't know anything about the game. I barely knew how to use a computer. I knew how to play first-person shooter games on a computer, like a bit. Like I was 9 years old. You got to keep that in mind. So I didn't really know too much about it. And I remember making an account, and back then you didn't even need an email. You just needed a username and a password. So I, wrote it down, made sure like I kept it all safe and everything. And then I clicked login. And yeah, I was on the tutorial island, and I remember just not knowing what to do at all because I've never played a game like this, and my friends didn't really tell me much about the game. They just told me to play it and that it was a lot of fun. And so basically I figured it out. I was clicking around, talking to random people. I still, at the very start of the game, never read the dialogue because I never did that on any of the Pokemon games or anything like that. I was just trying to figure out. I probably should have read the dialogue because then I would have known what to do. But I remember being in that first part of Tutorial Island for the full hour, and then I had to log out for dinner. And I was like, okay, this game's pretty stupid. I'm not going to log back in. And back then, I had like a limited screen time when I was a kid. Parents would only let me go on for like an hour, maybe 2 hours a day on my DS or the computer or whatever it was that I was doing. And I remember being like, I want to go back on the computer. Like right after dinner, it was just like an instant, like, I want to go back on and try this out again. And they were like, okay, yeah. And I went back on the computer, and after about another hour, I finally finished the tutorial island. I was off the island, I was in Lumbridge, and I felt like I just beat like the most master quest in the game. And when I was in Lumbridge, I remember thinking like, I didn't know like anything about the game, so like being in this town Lumbridge, like I didn't want to leave the town because I thought I would get lost. So I remember staying in the town for, I think it was like 3 weeks. And I mean, like, obviously on the outskirts of the town as well. Like, I remember I just loved chopping trees, lighting fires. I would go, like, on the outskirts of Lumbridge, and I would go to the cow pen and go through the Lumbridge swamp to the mining area. But I didn't really leave anywhere that I didn't know. And back then, I was a free-to-play account, so I didn't have access to thieving. And I remember just chopping trees and selling them to the to the general store. And then I found out about mining, and I went mining, and I remember training mining literally till like 18 or whatever it was when you unlocked the bronze armor. Just continuously running back and forth, mining, smithing, and then whatever it was, like crafting the bronze bars. And I don't even know if there was an anvil there at the time. I think there might have been, because I remember making the bronze armor and seeing I can sell it for like, I think it was like 50 or 60 GP each, and I thought I found like the best moneymaker in the guide to the general store. And, you know, like every time I'd go to school, I would talk to my friends about it. And I remember one really funny memory, actually after the first day I played, where you clicked your skills icon, it would show you like a total level. And I remember it saying like 35. And I go back to school the next day, and they're like, what level did you get to? And I'm like, 35. And they were just blown away by this. They're like, wow, not bad. Level 35 in your first day. That's insane. And I'm thinking, maybe I'm pretty good at this game. I didn't realize they meant combat level. I was probably I was probably like 4 or 5 combat level. But yeah, my total level was 35. So that really means I only gained a couple of levels. But I remember being like, wow, I'm actually pretty good at this game. Yeah. And then, you know, as we kept talking and talking, more of our friends started playing, and I would find more people at the school who actually played the game. And I just remember grade 6, grade 7, grade 8 were like the best years of my childhood, just going to school every single day and the entire day talking about RuneScape, making RuneScape jokes, making new friends, and it was really awesome. This one kid who was a year older than us, I'm pretty sure his name was Matt, he told me not to sell my items at the general store and to sell them at the Grand Exchange. The only store I knew was the general store, and like Bob's Axes store was like my favorite store, always upgrading the axe. So I pictured the Grand Exchange to just be like a general store where you would just scroll through every single item in the game. And he said there's 1 million items in the Grand Exchange. And I'm thinking, 1 million items? That's crazy. This game has so much. And he said you'll get so much more money if you sell your items at the Grand Exchange. And I'm thinking, like, wonder why. Like, it's just, you gotta remember, like, I didn't leave Lumbridge for the longest time. And I remember becoming really close with this guy because we actually played Pokemon together too. And I ended up adding all my friends, of course, but this one guy, and he walked me all the way from Lumbridge to Varrock, and I was like, holy shit, this is a new town. And like, I wouldn't have known how to get back to Lumbridge at this point. And I remember I had like a bunch of cow hides, some meat, a ton of logs, probably a couple thousand logs at the time. And I remember going to the Grand Exchange, and he was like, okay, sell it. And I sold a bunch of my stuff, and I remember seeing like a bunch of cash in my inventory. And I was like, holy shit, like I can buy whatever I want. This is amazing. This is crazy. But how do I get back to Lumbridge? And Another funny memory I had in Lumbridge was one of my first few days in the game. I was walking by the cow pen, and of course, I was attacking goblins, attacking cows, probably with no weapon, probably with just my hand. And I remember seeing this like level 45, and he would like go up to a cow and just one-shot it, and I was just like, oh my god. I literally was like, this guy's a legend. Like, this guy just one-shot a cow. I remember telling my friends about this one guy who one-shot a cow, and they were laughing because I was like so impressed with this. They were just like, yeah, it was really cool. We had a circle of friends who all played, and continuously throughout the 3 years, we just got more and more people to play. And I remember like not being the noob anymore after a while, and like my other friends were starting accounts, and like I could teach them things, but like I just became obsessed with the game. I found out about YouTube. I was looking up guides, looking up how to do every single thing on the game, and eventually, cracked and bought membership. I remember asking my dad if we could go to the store. Back then they used to sell like the membership cards in the store, and I remember like buying like a $8 or maybe it was $10, something like that. I think it was like $7 or $8 for a 30-day membership card. Looking back at it now, that was probably the biggest waste of money ever, because I pretty much just, stayed in Lumbridge, and I was like, I can do thieving now. And I remember just getting like 20 thieving off of men, thinking it was like such a good money maker. I'm just generating gold. But yeah, it didn't take too long before I completely became obsessed with the game. I was watching YouTube videos about it every day, the entire day of school, when I should have been, focused on school. I was talking to my friends about it, and the second I would come home, I would just right away log into Runescape. My dad actually ended up buying me a laptop. I think it might have been for my birthday that year, and that's when it all changed. Like, having this laptop meant I could play Runescape whenever I wanted. I didn't have to wait, to go to my dad's house for the weekend or whatever, or I didn't have to wait for my stepdad to come home to turn on the Mac computer for me. I had my own computer, my own laptop, and I was just over the world. I felt like I could just log into the game whenever I wanted, have fun whenever I wanted, talk to my friends whenever I wanted, and the addiction just really just, grew over me. I was watching YouTube videos and playing RuneScape, and when the summer came, it got really bad. It was one of the first summers where like I didn't really go outside as much. Like, I mean, I still did, but like there was some days where I was on my laptop for 10 to 12 hours a day. Sometimes, I think my first 99 was cooking, and I'm pretty sure I was on RuneScape for like 15 hours straight. Yeah, I'm gonna say within my first year, I got my 99 cooking, and I just remember being over the world that day. It was one of those things where I probably had like 50 base, probably not even 50 base. Some skills I didn't really train. Unfortunately, I didn't train Slayer back in the day. I don't know why. I think I was just so unfamiliar with the map. And back then, RuneScape wasn't so much about PVMing. It was just about exploring and skilling. And, it wasn't like it is today where it's just PVM made money. Skilling made money back then, or skilling was comparable back then. So I just kind of did whatever I did, and I never really got into Slayer, which I kind of I'm sad about now. But yeah, I just continuously played all the time. But what I was just about to say is, the day that I got 99 cooking, I think I woke up with like 96. And back then, we didn't have 2 ticking. I didn't have cooking gloves anyways. I remember I got it in the Rogue's Den, and it was probably the end of 2009. And I remember not having enough money to afford all of the things. Like, I would buy like 1k lobsters at a time, sell them, and then buy 1k more lobsters. But back then, cooking wasn't profitable like it is today, so I would always lose money. And it got to the point where when I was in the high 90s and I was maybe doing like monkfish or something like that, I maybe only had like 15k monks, and then I would sell them and I could only buy like 13k back. So I was always losing money. And I remember the one day I got the 99, my friend lent me like 1k raw sharks. And sharks back then were like 1k each. And I was like, holy, this is so much money, man. Like, this is a million GP. And he's like, cook it, you're gonna get your 99 today. And it was actually the friend who told me to play. So pretty much him and I were just, I think he was fletching actually at the Rogue's Den, and I was cooking. And the entire day we'd go back and forth messaging, talking the whole day. My other really good friend, who I still talk to this day, he was in there fletching as well. And back then people used to do the lined fire making in the Rogue's Den too. And yeah, one of my friends was fire making, one of them was fletching, one of them was doing that thieving thing in the Rogue's Den, and I was just sitting there cooking all day long. I remember my dad calling. I was at my dad's house that night, and he was calling me for dinner, and I was like, no, I can't, I gotta cook. And he's like, I just cooked. But yeah, I remember it was like a 15-hour day, and I was just so impressed with myself that I finally got it, the 99 cooking. I mean, in 2009, skill capes were still looked at as like, wow, this guy has a 99. And I was maybe 9 or 10 years old at the time, so I felt like I was like a legend of the game. And I remember never taking that skill cape or that hood off. And I remember every time I logged in, I did the emote like 10 times before I started doing whatever I was doing. But yeah, anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video today on my first impressions of RuneScape. If you'd like to see more videos like that, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments down below what type of videos you would like to see. Thanks again for all the support on the channel, and until next time, see ya later.